Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in this session, we would be using EFT tapping for increasing self-love and healing the areas where we have rejected ourselves. So grab a box of tissue and a journal and let's get started. So I'll do a quick recap before we start how EFT tapping works. So there are various meridians in the human body, about 72,000 meridians, which are meeting at different points or channels, which we can access on the surface of our skin. When we tap, we are also doing acupressure or acupuncture. Instead of needles, we use our fingertips. So the basic idea behind acupuncture is to release the stuck energy which is in the meridians and allow the prana to flow. So when we do that, we release the emotions which we have repressed from the past. And not only that, we are able to heal it from the body and mind. At the same time, we are offering a new script for the mind to work on. So working on the beliefs which are no longer serving us, replacing the old beliefs with the new one, like the way we work in psychotherapy. One important thing about EFT tapping is the part where we feel triggered. So people who are proponents of law of attraction, they feel it's not okay to say the negative things. So you may have that kind of belief, but the fact is that's your reality in that moment. Even if you keep it covered and even if you ignore it, there are moments when it comes up at the surface and it's right in your face. It keeps you stuck as a victim of those circumstances which happened in the past. Instead of being ruled by the conditioning of the past, or the limiting beliefs of the past, or maybe the traumatic events that may have happened, we allow our mind to feel triggered for a while. So, only for that 1 hour or so when we are working on tapping, we allow ourselves to be triggered. So, when we allow ourselves to experience that struggle, instead of feeling threatened or the need to run away from it, we allow that a chance to experience our own empathy and compassion because we have been throughout that phase. So even if you have very close family members, friends, and all, they haven't experienced that pain for you, only you have experienced. So there is no other better companion that you have other than you. So we bring along the spiritual component of tapping and we allow ourselves to channel the energy of our own high self, embrace all that struggle in compassion. So when we do that, the neurons in the brain, which are actually moving to and fro by sending the repeated information of struggle, the repeated signals of feeling threatened. So as soon as you see a threat in the environment which reminds you of something that happened in the past, maybe at the conscious level you're not even reminded, but subconsciously you begin to feel the same symptoms. Your body may have cramps, you may feel headache or stomachache, or they might be just the emotional symptoms that begin to come up. So there are protein bonds which are holding our memory. So everything that you experience, the memory, the emotion, the belief, and when we bring in love and empathy, we begin to melt those protein bonds and they begin to open up. And when they are open, we can rewire them because the neurons in the brain are similar to the wires of electricity. So if you have to light up a bulb, you have to make sure that the wires are connected at the right place. Similarly, through tapping, we send electrical signals to the brain, and that is reaching to the amygdala, which is the part of the brain which initiates fight and flight. So as soon as there is a slightest of threat or a source of fear, we will begin to experience those emotions, and then it of course affects our behavior. And when it affects our behavior, it affects our life. We are not able to bring out our true potential in those moments when we are threatened. And because of that, we adopt very limiting coping mechanisms. Maybe we compromise on our dreams and we postpone things and we begin to self sabotage ourselves. Tapping offers an evidence based and highly effective technique which accomplishes catharsis at a deeper level, at the level of the cellular memory. So, when we begin to release the emotions from the cells, we have actually reprogrammed our DNA to create a new reality. As long as our DNA is storing the same information and the theme of helplessness, it will continue creating a similar reality and you will keep experiencing circumstances which will make you further helpless. Maybe the same situation will come back in different masks. So, until and unless we clear it from our whole system, we cannot be free of the past. So, the power points are the meeting points of the energy meridians which we tap on the surface of our skin, and that takes us naturally in a trance like state. We begin to recall the experiences. Sometimes there are memories which are highly traumatic and we tend to forget them, but with tapping we begin to recall every incident that happened in the past, and only when we recall we can rescript it, we accept it in love, and then we offer it a segment of psychology which is about positive tapping. So I'll be guiding you through the process. I would suggest you to stay with it even if you feel triggered. And if you're not triggered right now, we can go back to the incident when you were highly triggered and there was a lot of helplessness and any other negative emotion. This is the EFT and chakra tree. So we have 7 funnels of energy in our body which are connected to the endocrine glands, and when they rotate they give power to the endocrine glands to produce the hormones, and that decides the state of our health. So our emotions are directly connected with our physical and mental health. You may also experience yawning, hiccups or sleepiness. It's all a part of the catharsis which is happening at the deep level. So even if you feel uncomfortable for a while, I would suggest that you just breathe into it and I will take you to the other side where you will feel absolutely free and light. So let's start by rubbing below the collarbone, and we are going to say the setup statement. Wherever you disagree, please change the word to match your experience. Even though I have been rejecting myself, so name the area in which you have been rejecting yourself. I choose to relax and forgive myself. Even though I have been rejecting myself by, just complete the sentence. What do you do when you reject yourself? I deeply and completely choose to relax and forgive myself. Even though I haven't been loving myself by, so in which area you are unable to love yourself or accept yourself? Just label that. You can do that mentally or verbally. I deeply and completely choose to relax. Tapping over the top of the head. All this rejection that I have, all this rejection that I have for myself, over the eyebrows, it makes me uncomfortable. And just tune into the discomfort that you feel when you're not able to accept yourself. Tapping on the side of the eye. I don't accept myself in, so laying the area under the eye. It hasn't been helping me in any way. In whichever area you're not able to accept yourself, is by rejecting, are you able to change that? And what is it that you reject? Is it a behavior? Is it the way you look? Is it the way you react or act? Tapping over the nostrils. Or is it because of your needs not being met? So maybe there is something that you need from a relationship and that relationship is not giving you that need. And that makes me feel unworthy. Tapping under the nose, I choose to relax and calm down. Tapping under the lips, I'm open to forgiving myself for rejecting myself in the area of, just complete the sentence. And just tune into the negative emotions that come up along with this feeling of rejection. Tapping over the thymus. When I reject myself, I feel, do you feel lonely or unworthy, unloved, uncertain, jittery, nervous, ugly, or not beautiful enough, guilty, desperate, grief? So whatever that negative emotions are that come along, that rejection, the area in which you are rejecting yourself, just tune into that and allow yourself to feel those emotions. Tapping over the wrist. I really feel, just name the top 3 emotions that come along when you are triggered and when you are not able to accept yourself. One deep sigh, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Tapping over the thumb, sharp edge. And just feel into the texture of this rejection or lack of self-love. If it had a texture, what kind of texture it would be? The sharp edge of the first finger. And if it had a color, what color it would be? Whichever first color comes to your mind. Tapping over the second finger, sharp edge. And if it had a shape, what kind of shape it would be? And just try to feel that texture, that shape in the body, because our mind and body are connected. So somewhere in the body you're storing this feeling of rejection or the feeling of lack of self-love. Tapping over the third finger, opposite side. And maybe there are body symptoms that come up for you whenever you have this rejection pattern, or maybe some body symptoms come up for you whenever you're triggered by this lack of self-love. Tapping over the little finger, take one deep breath, exhale through the mouth. I feel I'm not good enough. And what are the negative emotions or limiting emotions or thoughts that come to your mind when you are dealing with this lack of self-love? What do you think about yourself? What is the self-talk that runs in your mind in the background? It could be, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, they will laugh at me, I should have done this or I shouldn't have done this, I'm ugly, I'm too much, I'm too old, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, it's all my fault, I keep making mistakes, I'm doomed to failure, I am unlucky, I'm not creative enough. Tapping over the karate chop. I'm not talented enough. It has been happening since childhood. It always happens with me. And what are your particular negative or limiting thoughts that come to your mind when you are dealing with this lack of self-love? Tapping over the gambit point. I deeply and completely choose to relax and forgive myself. One deep breath, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Once again, rubbing below the collarbone. And I have been blaming myself for, so if there's something for which you have been blaming yourself, or maybe you have been blaming someone else for this situation. Who could it be? And I blame them because, and what is the reason of that blame? What was their behavior that made you feel that you are not worthy enough or you are unloved? What did they say? Tapping over the top of the head. And this makes me very uncomfortable. I feel disconnected. So, from whom do you feel disconnected? From life? From yourself? From your own abilities? Tapping over the eyebrows. I feel really scared. One deep breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Tapping over the side of the eye. I really want to let this go. Under the eye. I'm willing to learn how to accept myself exactly the way I am. Over the nostrils. I'm open to learn to love myself. Even when. So what is it that happens that really triggers this feeling of lack of love? Of the feeling of not being worthy enough? Tapping under the nose. What are the events which actually bring this up for you? And what has been coming lately? That you have been busy and ignoring it because you didn't know how to deal with it. Under the lips. So just speak out that situation that triggers that self-love and allow yourself to go back in time to a little journey that we are going to cover, where you may feel uncomfortable, but that's the only way to clear that discomfort. Let's feel it once for all. Take one deep breath out through the mouth. Tapping over the thymus. I've been pretending that it is all good, or I have been hiding my emotions. And when this is triggered, I really feel like, so what is it that you feel like doing when this issue comes up at the surface? Tapping over the wrist, and a part of me doesn't want to look at it. And a part of me wonders, how will tapping help me with that? Tapping over the thumb. I'm willing to try because nothing else worked. One deep breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. And which part of me has been really craving for love? Allow yourself to close your eyes, to go on this journey to your inner world and to discover what is it that really makes you uncomfortable. And to discover those hidden beliefs. And to discover those hidden beliefs which have been sabotaging you. So describe the issue in detail. Do that mentally or verbally. Tapping over the first finger and all the negative feelings that come along this issue. One deep breath. all the limiting thoughts that come along this issue. What is it that you begin to think? Tapping over the second finger. And what is it that your culture says about this issue? So maybe it says that by this age you should be earning this much money, or by this age you should be married, or you should be responsible for so and so thing. What is it that your culture says? Or people around you, the society, is silently giving that message that this shouldn't be happening, or this should be happening, and those are the things which you're not able to create. Tapping with the third finger, opposite side. And what is it that the media says about this issue? You should be fitting into a particular clothing, or you should have a particular skin color. What is the message that you receive from your environment in the context of this issue that really puts you into too much pressure? Because you're not able to match to that expectation that others have of you, or maybe your own expectation, because of the ideal image that you have in your mind. And tune into that block, all those emotions, or maybe they are layered under a lot of resistance or numbness or denial. Whatever is the truth for you, just customize it for yourself and guide your own experience. One deep breath out through the mouth. Tapping over the little finger. And when this happens, I feel in my body. So do you feel some kind of pain or stiffness? How does your body respond to this issue? Does your breathing begin to change? And what is your reaction when this issue comes up? Which really triggers a lot of lack of self-love and self-doubt. Tapping over the karate chop. So closing your eyes, tune into that recent event that happened for you, which really triggered this lack of self-love. Play it on your mind screen and imagine that you are sitting in a room of your choice, where there is all the comfort, and there is a screen in front of you. On that screen, that movie is playing. That movie where you felt really triggered, threatened because of the event that happened, and that brought up all the feelings of self, all the feelings of lack of love. Tapping over the gambit point. And allow yourself to run that movie. You have the remote in your hand, and you can pause it whenever you feel like. Begin to play it in your mind and go through that emotion, go through that struggle and discomfort. What is it that you hear those people saying, everybody around you? Or what is the message that you're getting from the environment which is making you feel unloved? One deep breath out through the mouth. Tapping over the thymus. Tapping over the thymus. And tune into how it's been affecting your behavior. So when this lack of love is triggered, I begin to. So what habit do you adopt because of this trigger? Because of this conditioning that you have. Maybe you have a conditioning that this is your responsibility as a daughter or a son or a daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, whatever role you are playing in your relationships. And that expectation is not being fulfilled. And when that's not being fulfilled, what is the reaction of the people around you? How do they behave? Tapping over the top of the head. Just allow yourself to run through that memory and pause on the moment where it really hit you hard. Tapping over the eyebrows. It really hit me hard when. So, what happened? What did they say? What words did they use which really hurt you? Tapping over the side of the eye. And it keeps happening in a loop. So, maybe one person made you feel this way, and every other person whom you meet and you start to trust, they also begin to behave in a similar way, which makes you feel unloved. Tapping under the eyes. And allow yourself to increase this feeling of being unloved to 50%. Just go deep into it, allow it to come up at the surface, and give it a lot of empathy and compassion when it's right up at the surface, over the nostrils. And feel that compassion for your own struggle because you have been your only companion. So even if you have been surrounded by loved ones, they haven't experienced what you have. Tapping under the nose, and by all means, at every step, you have been there for your own self. So give yourself that compassion that you deserve, but there was no one else which gave you that. And what is it that I really needed, but I didn't receive it? And feel that helplessness of your needs not being met or not being respected. Tapping under the lips. And when they didn't give me what I really wanted, it made me feel like, just complete the sentence. One deep breath. Out through the mouth. Tapping over the thymus. And just allow your mind to go to the earliest memory when you felt a similar way, when you felt that deep void or helplessness, when you felt really frustrated because of how they were behaving. Tapping over the wrist. And how did that change your behavior, your personality? How did it affect your thoughts, your beliefs about yourself? What is it that you concluded from this event? Tapping over the thumb. And what are the coping mechanisms you adopted to deal with this issue? To deal with the lack of love? What is it that you thought would help you, but it actually just either covered the issue or just postponed it for a while? Or maybe delayed it so that you don't have to face it. But in the background, the issue was continuing to control your life, and it continued to control your attitude, your decisions, your experiences. Tapping over the first finger. And what is it that I started to believe as a result of this experience? Tapping. One deep breath, inhale through the nose, out through your mouth. And I have been believing that ever since. So what is it that you believed about yourself because of the experience? Tapping over the middle finger. I have been believing this because. So what is it that they said? What words did they use? Or what was their attitude, their body language that made you feel this way, which really hurt you and made you doubt yourself? And what is it that you concluded about life in journal? And specifically about your own life. One deep breath. Out through your mouth. Tap over the third finger and just speak out your story. Everything that they said, everything that happened. How did those experiences affect you? And that really changed my decisions. And what was that negative decision? And what was that unhelpful decision that you took because of the experience? Maybe you decided that from now on I will not trust anyone. From now on I will not express myself. Or I will compromise on my dreams. I will think small so I don't get disappointed. I won't expect from people. What decision you made because of that experience? And something which was not out of your free will. One deep breath. Out through your mouth. And just give a number on a scale of 1 to 10 when it's triggered, how high it is. Whichever number it is at. Rejection that I have experienced from other people or maybe from your own self. It didn't allow me to trust myself. And how did it hinder your life and your experience of life? Tapping over the karate chop. It affected my life by. So what is it that happens around you because of this feeling? What kind of experiences you tend to attract? Tapping over the gamut point. And I've been trying to defend myself. I've been trying to keep myself safe. And how you have been trying to keep yourself safe from this? Do you begin to hide or shrink? Do you begin to avoid? What is it that you adopt as a habit? And allow yourself to intensify these emotions of discomfort to a 75%. Really feel into it. Tapping over the thymus. One deep breath. Out through the mouth. And intensify it to 100%. Fully come up on the surface. No matter what this experience says, I am worthy of love. It is possible that what they said about me wasn't true. It is possible that it was their limited perspective which made me doubt myself. Over the top of the head. And tune into any resistance which is still not allowing you to feel it fully. Even the resistance may feel like something frozen. That emptiness. Tapping over the eyebrow point. I begin to numb myself because that's the only way I know how to deal with it. And just tune into that feeling of dissociation that maybe you have, dissociating from your own life. Side of the eye, dissociating from the pain. So although the pain is present, but your consciousness is absent from that experience. And whenever there is lack of consciousness, there would be a void. Tapping under the eyes. So allow yourself to give that experience a lot of presence. and enter that scene that we created on the mind screen. Feel that the current self is meeting that old self which originally experienced that moment, and feel you are accompanied by your higher self or in any energy or any ascended master whom you believe in. And that master or energy is there to support you in that process over the nostrils. And every moment that you needed something which was not given, feel those resources are being delivered by that master. So maybe you need a lot of approval. Maybe you needed a lot of attention, a lot of respect. Feel that energy, that vibration coming down from that master or your own higher self. You may see it in form of a color or an image, or you may just feel it as a vibration. Whatever it is, go with that experience under the nose and begin to fast forward it, going to the moment which was really worse, which really affected how you see yourself, which really affected how you feel about yourself and what you believe about yourself. The worst part of that memory was under the lips, and everything that was happening around me. Breathe into it and give it so much presence that your presence brings along the compassion which other people couldn't give you. And even if they didn't give me, I'm ready to give it to myself. So all those needs which were unfulfilled, allow yourself to feel the void of that lack over the timeless. I deeply and completely accept myself. I really needed to receive. What is it that you really needed to receive? And from whom? Who was supposed to give you that? But they didn't give me what I really needed. And allow all those emotions, all that discomfort to come up, and breathe out through your mouth and feel through your breath you're releasing that energy which is no longer serving you. Tapping over the wrist. And in that seeing the worst part of that event which happened for you, as you are reliving it, see that from the corner of the room, there is your higher self which is entering. In that very moment when you are experiencing it, because that past is still running in your mind as if it's happening right now. Because for the subconscious mind, time doesn't exist. Everything that happened is still there and it's holding and it's still controlling my life. Sharp edge of the thumb. No matter what, I'm ready to free myself. So unless and until we really work on those experiences and the emotions that they brought along, that experience would continue to impact us, to affect us and our life. But when we give it enough attention and presence, because that is what it needs, that acknowledgement, and along with that empathy and understanding, we begin to melt all those emotions which we had stored in the mind and the body. One deep breath out through the mouth. And feel that your higher self is bringing along all that compassion, all the love, all the presence which was so much missing, and allow your consciousness to come back, which had really escaped that moment because it had so much pain and trauma. Tapping over the first finger, sharp edge. I'm ready to move on from this. I'm ready to give myself all that which was missing. So just imagine that as the adult self, which is the now, you have the resources because you're giving that past emotion which was unaddressed for so long. You're now giving it enough attention which it really deserves. And as you're giving it that attention, it is beginning to feel that it's really important. It's beginning to release that feeling of being unworthy. Tapping over the second finger and tell it that I am, that my support is always there no matter what. No matter what the experience says, no matter what people around me made me feel, made me believe, I'm ready to transform those beliefs. And whatever that limiting belief came up for you, I want you to give a replacement to that belief by reframing it. So, for example, you have been feeling that I'm not talented enough or I'm not creative enough. Just reframe that statement. Even if you can't change it 360 degree, that's okay. You can just say that I'm talented in few areas, or I have enough talent in, so maybe one area you can maybe. Or whatever your limiting belief was, how would you reframe it? Making it just a little better. If not positive, making it neutral. Tapping over the third finger, opposite side. And these experiences never define who I am as a person. And they are not my identity. And just one final time, tune into that regret and that feeling of rejection. And let it out through your breath. Out through the mouth. I no longer need it. I'm willing to let this go. I forgive myself for carrying it for so long. Tapping over the little finger. I take responsibility for whatever I felt. Because as an adult, I can change whichever experience I may have encountered. And what was my learning in that experience? So if it was really challenging, there must be a learning from that experience. So what is it that I learned from that experience? And what was that one benefit which may be very small or hidden behind that struggle? So if somebody really misbehaved with me, I learned how to stand for myself. I learned how to speak up for myself, which earlier I wasn't doing. Tapping over the karate chop. I learned to create healthy boundaries. So what was your learning that came along? And if you haven't learned it till now, are you willing to learn it now? Because you have really dealt with some part of your emotion, if not all of it. So what that experience made you understand about life? What changes you need to take to really adapt into that experience instead of resisting it or pushing it away, because more you push it, the more powerful it becomes. And it hasn't helped me pushing that. Tapping over the gamut point. And I want you to say 10 positive affirmations in that context wherever you have been rejected. And the biggest blessing, which may be hidden for a long time and may be very small or minor, was, so what was the benefit, what was the blessing behind that difficulty or behind that pattern of rejection? Maybe it allowed me to heal myself and look at those parts within me which I was unaware of. So outside circumstances will only bring up what we magnetize. So unless and until we have a magnet inside of us to create certain kind of experience, we cannot invite it in our lives. Only because we have that kind of frequency, we have created that experience outside. So the moment I see it at the outside level, I'm able to identify it at the internal world. So it's actually an opportunity to heal. It's actually a blessing in disguise. And what decision will you now make, as now you're more aware of how this has been affecting you and how subconsciously you have been programmed to behave in a way which was absolutely unhelpful. And because of that attitude, it affected your life. So what decision will you make now to change that behavior? Change those thoughts. So maybe we have less control over our feelings. But thoughts are like words we are saying to ourselves. So words can be erased and can be replaced. Feelings become a little more gross than thoughts. So as soon as I identify this thought coming up, how would you replace that thought? So you may not be able to make it very, very positive, but how can you make it a little more neutral? One deep breath. Out through your mouth. Keeping your eyes closed. Keep focusing on your breath. And just imagine how would your life change as you allow this experience to dissolve, as you allow the impact of this experience to dissolve, how it was negatively affecting me. If I let this go, how will my life change? Just see it in full color. What would be happening? How would you be reacting? How would you change as a person? How would your experiences change? I'm ready to invite this new experience. I'm ready to live this new experience because I truly deserve it. One final breath, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Rub your palms, give that energy to your eyes, give that energy to your entire body. Have a glass of water. And once again, give a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. So if that's similar struggle, if you see it once again in your mind's eye, after doing these few rounds of tapping, where has it gone? Has it increased? Has it decreased? So even if it has increased only because there was a lot of numbness. So when we work through tapping, we release the numbness. So the number came from 5 to a 7. But if it has gone down, you may continue a few more rounds of tapping or maybe do this video all over again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button and share it with people whom you feel may help. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.